Dispenza, 13. Principles of Energy and Abundance. This is not just another video. This might be the moment when your branch of reality changes. Today, these aren't just big words, because what you're about to hear doesn't require effort. It requires presence. Your presence. Ahead are 30 minutes that could become a turning point, not because of the information, but because of the state you'll experience them in. So tune in. It's best if you're not busy with anything serious right now. This is not background noise. This is a flow. Here are 5 ideal scenarios where this video can work more deeply. You're driving alone on a familiar route. You're on a run, and the rhythm of the body helps you absorb the rhythm of the words. You're meditating, in motion or in stillness. You're resting on a beach, a balcony, or a hammock. You've just closed your eyes and allowed yourself to be here, unhurried. The only important thing, your attention should not be scattered. Let this be time, just for you. From my side, I won't steal your focus either. The visuals will be simple. No flashy cuts, no visual noise, because the point isn't in the image. The point is what starts happening inside of you. A tip: to let this video sink deeper into your subconscious, try this. Listen with headphones so nothing distracts you. Play the video again the next day. You'll hear more. Write down your sensations. Not conclusions, but bodily and mental impressions. After each principle, take a 10-second pause. Sometimes silence reveals more than 10 phrases. And most importantly, don't just listen with your mind. Listen with your body, your energy, your feeling. You already know how to do this. Now we're just reminding you how your real tuning feels. Ready? Then let's begin. You don't get what you want. You get who you are. And if you hear that, not just as words, but as a challenge, then you're at the point where external answers don't work. You've tried many things: goals, lists, courses, actions, and still inside, you still feel like something doesn't add up. It's like you're going in circles. This video is not motivation. It's a map of the 13 energies that shape your reality. Yes, energies, not habits, not strategies, but states that determine what happens to you next. Your money, your relationships, your confidence, your freedom. If you watch to the end, you'll get more than just ideas. You'll get a practice that will turn on something in you that many people have been searching for years, and they don't find it because they're looking outside. It's not about doing, it's about becoming. Becoming is real transformation. We're used to acting, doing, fix things, overcome. But reality is not created by effort. It's a vibration. You can bang on a door for years, but if you sound on a different frequency, the door simply doesn't recognize you. And sometimes you change your inner state, and it opens by itself, without making any noise. Now you will understand why this happens, and how to stop fighting for results, and to start entering a state in which everything starts to attract itself. First principle: you're trying too hard. Sounds strange, doesn't it? After all, we've been taught since childhood: try harder, do better, don't be lazy. But listen closely. It's not about giving up. It's about stopping the fight against life itself. You've noticed this, haven't you? Sometimes you give 110%, plan everything, control every detail, push through without rest, and still the result slips away. You arrive at the finish line exhausted, and the victory feels empty, because the whole journey was tension, pressure, have to. You're like someone pushing a door, forgetting the sign says, pull. The harder you push, the more resistance you create. Effort that's too intense often closes the very door that could have opened with a breath, with softness, with trust, with space. Imagine a river. It doesn't flow faster when you rush it. In fact, the more obstacles you throw in, the more it slows down. And so do you. The more tension, worry, and pressure you carry, the slower your energy moves, the more life slows down around you. Ever walk down the street and feel like every look is a judgment? Every action is a need to prove your worth? Every morning is a battle? And in that fight, you lose the most important thing: your tuning, the state where everything starts to come to you. Because reality doesn't respond to what you do. It responds to how you vibrate while doing it. If you run from fear, life confirms your fear. If you act from I'm not enough, even success won't feel like enough. Trying too hard means you don't trust. Pushing means you're afraid. Controlling every step means deep down you don't feel guided. Power is not in clenching. Power is in direction. When you're relaxed but focused, you're magnetic. When you're tense, you repel. Think back to times when things flowed with ease, when you didn't try to impress anyone, yet became the most interesting person. When you didn't chase the outcome, yet it arrived by itself. That's true vibration. Calm but powerful. Listener, if you're still with me, pause, check your posture. Are your jaws clenched? Are your shoulders tight? Take a breath right now and tell yourself, I don't have to fight. It doesn't mean you're giving up. It means you're choosing a new kind of strength, the strength of flow. Remember this, you're not weak when you let go. You're weak when you fight what requires surrender. Repeat this principle every few days. Don't just hear it with your mind, feel it with your body. Let it root, and one day you'll feel it. You can live differently, act differently, achieve differently. Second principle, you're not broadcasting what you want, you're broadcasting who you've become. This is one of the most subtle yet powerful laws. You can visualize a car, pin your dream house to a vision board, say affirmations all day long. But energy doesn't respond to words, it responds to vibration. You can shout to the universe, I want love. But if inside you feel loneliness, hurt, distrust, what you're broadcasting is fear of being abandoned. And the universe will reflect that. You say, I deserve wealth. But if your chest tightens, if you don't know how to receive, if you secretly don't believe you can hold on to money, you're vibrating scarcity, and life will mirror it back. It's like trying to catch a wave with your back to the ocean. You can be smart, energetic. But if you're facing the wrong way, you won't feel the flow. You don't get what you want. You get what you're broadcasting as normal. Imagine, you're a radio. If you're tuned to I can't handle it, you'll attract people who confirm it. They don't hear you, support you, or notice you because you're on the frequency of complaint. Now tune to this. I'm valuable, even in silence, even with no proof. And suddenly something shifts. A person notices. An opportunity appears. Not because life changed, because you're now sounding different. The field, it's a hall of mirrors. It doesn't interpret. It simply repeats back what you give. Ask yourself, what is coming out of me when I'm alone? When no one is watching? When I'm just sitting in a quiet room? That is your real frequency. Not what you say, but what you are. Breathe. Then ask yourself, what energy is radiating from me right now? You can feel it on your skin, in your gaze, in the air around you. Imagine this. You walk into a room, you say nothing, but everyone senses you're calm, you're whole, you're grounded. Or the opposite. You smile, but the room feels your stress. People feel the truth. The field feels the truth. The world doesn't react to your mask. It reacts to your core. Anchor phrase to replay often. You don't shift reality by command. You shift it by changing your signal. Your signal isn't made of words. It comes from the heart, the breath, the state. Want respect? Respect yourself in silence. Want wealth? Stop energetically grabbing. Start radiating fullness. Want love? Stop sounding like someone who needs saving. Sound like someone who has something to give. This principle isn't about knowledge, it's about state. Don't try to get it. Try to live it. Replay this part again. Tomorrow, the next day, especially when your mind starts chasing the external. And one day you won't just hear it. You'll feel it with every cell. You're not a beggar. You're the source. And the world reflects not your request, but your vibration. Third principle. You're stuck in the how. You know what you want. You even see it clearly. The goal is written. The vision board is made. The plan is in place. And so you begin. But an hour later, anxiety. A day later, doubt. A week later, you've either burned out, canceled everything, or already invented a new goal. Do you know why? Because you're trapped in the mind's biggest illusion, the endless how. You keep telling yourself, I want a new job, but how? I want more money, but how? I want freedom, but how? And that how stops you from moving. It paralyzes you. It fills your life with control, micromanagement, and disappointment because you want to see the whole path before taking the first step. But the universe doesn't work like that. It's like standing on a foggy trail and waiting to see the entire route. You won't move until the end is visible, but the fog only clears when you start walking. Think back to the best decisions of your life. Think about the most unexpected, powerful changes. They weren't part of your plan. They were part of your flow. You met someone you didn't expect. You heard a phrase that flipped something inside you. You walked one path, and suddenly a turn, and you were in a new life. That's because the how isn't your zone. Your zone is what and who you are when it already exists. You don't need to know who success will come through. You don't need to map out how love will find you. You don't need to build a staircase to the sky. You just need to step on the first rung in the right state. When you stop controlling the how, you make room for magic. Yes, real magic, coincidence, resonance, flow. You want to launch a project, and suddenly someone writes you, ready to help. You want freedom, and suddenly an old contract ends, opening a new door. You want a new level, and life itself pushes you onto it. But none of that happens while you're standing still, waiting for guarantees. Now, a simple, powerful metaphor. Desire is the seed, your state is the soil, and the how is the rain, which comes when the time is right. You don't run through a field begging the rain to fall. You nurture the soil, you keep the faith. You don't dig up the seed every 5 minutes to check if it's growing. You let go of the how and allow life to work. Now pause. Ask yourself, what am I gripping with a clenched fist? What script am I afraid to release? Where am I so obsessed with how that I won't let movement begin? Sometimes the best thing you can do is remove your hands and allow the next step to find you. You don't program reality, you tune yourself to it. Victoria Zazovskaya, 11th of May, 2025, 15:14. And when you're tuned, everything arrives. Listen to this principle again a few more times. Especially when anxiety rises, let it soak in like water into your old beliefs. You'll see how relaxation brings more than any kind of over effort. You don't need to know everything. You just need to sound like someone who already has it, and then life will reveal what you could never have planned. Fourth principle, you're creating from the future instead of activating the present. You look ahead, you want, you dream, you plan. You say, when I get there, then I'll, and in that someday, you lose the most important thing, the activation point, the power of the moment, the place where everything actually begins. You say, when I earn more money, I'll feel calm. When I find love, I'll feel confident. When I move, I'll finally start living. But what you don't notice is this. Every time you're postponing your life, you make happiness conditional. You make confidence dependent on outcome. And in doing so, you hand your power over to the outer world. Now flip the lens. You become calm, and then money flows more easily. You open up, and love arrives. You live now, and the energy for change appears. Because it's not the event that creates the state. It's the state that creates the event. You're sitting in the same place, but inside you already feel how you want to live. You haven't moved cities, but freedom is already vibrating within. You haven't hit your financial goal, but you've stopped living in lack. And then something shifts. It's like flipping a frequency inside. Reality begins rearranging, not in response to your worry about tomorrow, but to your presence right now. It's like a radio transmitter. You can't broadcast the future. You can only broadcast this moment. The future doesn't respond to hope. It responds to how you vibrate in the present. So you wake up. You either dive straight into thoughts, What's next? How will I survive? Or you take a breath and say, I'm already on my path. I'm already in motion. I already am this new version of me. And this isn't a game. It's not a trick. It's how you create your frequency. Now feel this. What's the difference between someone who says, I'll start when everything is ready, versus someone who says, I'm already walking? The first is waiting for permission, clarity, comfort. The second is shaping reality from within. Now picture this. You're a sculptor. The future is the stone, but the tool, it's already in your hand. Every breath, every thought, every choice is carving out the shape. You can sit and wait for the statue to reveal itself. Or you can begin gently brushing the surface of the present moment, and it will begin to respond. Now pause and ask yourself, where am I living? In someday, in if, in when? Now gently return your focus here. You're breathing, you're hearing sound, you're feeling your body. This is where it all begins. Your power is here. Your tuning, here. Your vibration, only in this moment. Want a new life? Start vibrating like someone who's no longer waiting. Someone who already is. Someone who already trusts. There is no later. There's only you. And how you sound in this very moment. Listen to this principle again tomorrow morning. It won't wake up your mind. It will wake up your core. And if you make that a habit, you'll see reality begin to change. Not because you got smarter, but because you entered the point of power. Fifth principle, you visualize images, but you don't feel the essence. You close your eyes. You picture the dream house, the car, the stage, the beach, the money. You draw the perfect life in your mind. You've invested in it. You've tried. You even believe it should work, but nothing changes. A day passes, a week, a month, and inside the same. Anxiety, waiting, doubt. You tell yourself, maybe it's not for me. But the truth is, you're using the wrong tool. Visualization isn't pictures. It's not a movie in your head. It's a vibrational tuning of your body, your mind, your energy. It's not about what you see. It's about what you feel when you see it. Imagine this. You're visualizing yourself on stage. The lights, the applause, the crowd. But inside, there's a quiet background noise. What if I fail? What if they judge me? What if I mess it up? And that's what the universe hears. Not stage, but fear of the stage. Not success, but fear of failure. That's what gets mirrored back. You could spend 20 minutes a day visualizing your dream. But if for the other 23 hours you vibrate doubt, what do you think is more powerful? Here's the key. The universe doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to how you feel when you want it. Now take a pause. Close your eyes. Don't draw a picture. Just ask, what does it feel like to be confident? What does it feel like to live without rush, without fear? What does it feel like to stop proving and just be? You can feel it without images, without stories, without conditions. That's real visualization, not the stage, but the state where you're no longer waiting, you're radiating. Now imagine, you're walking down the street. You have $5 in your pocket, but inside you radiate completeness, calm, certainty. You don't look like a beggar. You sound like someone who knows they're aligned with abundance. And the world hears that. People respond. Opportunities show up. Reality begins to sync with your inner frequency. Here's a powerful metaphor. The image is the shell. The state is the core. If you paint a mansion while vibrating lack, you're creating a hollow phantom. If you feel at home, even in a rented room, you've already begun the manifestation. Listener, this might be hard to grasp at first. You're used to pictures. You want to see, but try to feel. Here's an example. You're sitting in silence and suddenly remember the sea. Not a photo, not a video, but the scent, the wind, the state, and your body softens. Your vibration shifts. You don't need the beach. It's already within you. That's how it works with everything. Visualization is not the path to the dream. It is the dream lived in the present moment. Want to practice? Each morning, before getting out of bed, close your eyes and spend 30 seconds being the version of you that you long to feel. Not what you want to receive, but what you want to embody, and let that become your new baseline. Replay this principle when your visualizations turn into cartoons without emotion. Return to the body, to the breath, to the vibration, and you'll realize you don't need to see everything. You just need to feel as if it's already with you. Sixth principle. You still believe you're alone. This is one of the most dangerous illusions, one of the quietest and most painful. You can be surrounded by people, in a family, in a relationship, on social media. You can be hosting events, creating projects, posting every day, and yet somewhere inside you carry this quiet belief. It's all on me. I have to handle everything myself. I can't afford to lean on anyone. You know what that looks like. You keep going. You don't complain. You don't ask. You keep doing and doing and doing. But deep down, you feel disconnected. As if there's you and then the rest of the world. But here's the truth. That's not real. You are not a separate fragment. You are part of a living, intelligent, vibrating field, a system where everything is connected, where everything responds, where everything is alive. And the sooner you stop clinging to the lone warrior identity, the faster life starts moving. Do you know what blocks support, synchronicity, and help? Pride, control, and old wounds from the times you weren't supported. But the fact that someone once misunderstood you doesn't mean you now have to carry it all alone. Look at nature. There's no tree that grows in full isolation. Even desert plants are connected through underground roots. Viktoria Zazovskaya, 11th of May, 2025, 1514. Even mountains influence each other through shadow, wind, and pressure. A human cut off from flow becomes weak quickly. But the moment you admit, I'm not alone, another current of energy appears. You needed a sign, and someone messages you. You were drained, and suddenly see a quote that lifts you. You were on the edge, and an invitation, idea, or embrace arrives. That's not chance, that's resonance. But for that to happen, you have to stop pretending that you don't need it. You can be strong and still be part of something bigger. You can be independent and still be open. Here's an example. You walk into a new environment, and instead of trying to prove your worth, you just relax and listen. You drop control, and suddenly doors begin to open. People start offering. Opportunities come without asking because you've entered the field, and the field recognizes you. The field doesn't support those who push. It supports those who are tuned. Now pause and ask yourself, where am I still carrying everything alone when I could flow with life? Where have I closed my heart thinking that's strength? You're not weak when you ask. You're weak when you deny yourself the right to belong. You're not facing the world. You are part of it. And that means you are not alone. Try this practice. Each morning, for 10 seconds, say to yourself, I am in the field. I am not alone. Everything I need is already on its way. Not for magic, for alignment. Listen to this principle again on the days you're tired of being strong. It will remind you you don't have to prove anything to be supported. You're already inside. Seventh principle, you try to hold on instead of letting life flow through you. You hold, you clench your fists, you're afraid to let go. You're holding on to relationships that no longer feel alive, a project that's been draining you for months, an old version of yourself, because the new one is still unknown. You say, I'm not ready. I can't lose this. What if it gets worse after? But here's the truth. A closed fist cannot receive anything new. Your energy can't move when everything inside is tense. You are not a container. You are a current, and a current's nature is to move. Look at water. If it's blocked, it stagnates. If it flows, it clears, it purifies. So do you. When you cling, you stop being alive. You become a shield, a shell. You are no longer in the moment. You're in fear. and fear makes you heavy. Now think of the people who flow with ease. They don't chase others. They don't cling to every opportunity. They don't fear change because they understand what's truly yours will stay. What isn't will make room for what's next. You're not losing. You're clearing space. You're not failing. You're releasing to grow into something greater. You're not falling into emptiness. You're letting life reveal a new way. Example, someone holds on to a business for years and it drains their joy, their energy, their health. But they're afraid to let go. What if I never find anything better? And so they slowly burn out until one day they say, enough. And you know what? Next month, a new idea arrives, a new person, a new breath, because they finally made space. Now ask yourself, what am I afraid to release? What's been asking to leave and I keep holding it? What roles, people, identities, or ideas am I gripping because I don't trust the flow? And then ask this, what would happen if I allowed life to move through me? Flow doesn't need force, it needs softness, the courage to be open. Here's a simple practice. Sit down, place your hand on your chest, ask, where am I holding too tightly? And just breathe into that space. Sometimes all you need is breath. Sometimes the only thing in your way is resistance. Listen to this principle when everything seems to be falling apart, because maybe it's not falling. Maybe it's reorganizing, and it can't begin until you let go of the old. You're not the one who holds. You're the one through whom it flows. Eighth principle, you ignore the body. You want to change your mindset. You read, learn, visualize, meditate. You work with thoughts. You shift your energy, in theory. But there's something you forget. Your body is the amplifier. It's not separate from your mind. It is the mind, expressed through sensation, rhythm, breath, posture. If your thoughts say one thing, but your shoulders are tight, your breathing is shallow, your stomach is clenched, then your body is sending a completely different signal. You affirm, I'm safe, I'm calm, but your heart is racing. You repeat, I trust the process, but your fists are clenched. Guess what the field picks up? Not the words, not the idea, but the embodied vibration. Your body stores your past, old fears, unprocessed pain, shame, self-doubt. They don't live in the mind. They live in your posture, in your digestion, in your jaw, in your spine. So until you free the body, you won't fully shift your energy. This is why meditation alone is sometimes not enough. Because if your back hurts, your pelvis is locked, your breath is tight, your nervous system stays in survival mode. You can dream all you want, but you're still vibrating danger. Now pause, check your posture. Right now, is your belly relaxed? Are your feet grounded? Are you breathing fully? That is the beginning of transformation. Not the vision board, not the mantras, but the moment when your body finally says, I'm home. Try this. Each day before you visualize or manifest, take 2 minutes to move, stretch, shake, breathe deep into the hips, the chest, the gut. Then, sit in stillness and feel now you're more available. Now the energy can flow. Want an even deeper shift? Start listening to what the body wants to say. What have you been ignoring? What signal keeps coming back? That tightness in your neck, that recurring tension in your stomach, that fatigue in your lower back. They're not just physical, they're messengers. They're stored vibrations, waiting to be felt, released, retuned. You're not a floating head, you're a full body instrument. And until your whole system plays in harmony, your signal will be weak. Listen to this principle when you feel stuck but can't explain why. When your head says go, but your body whispers no. Because sometimes you don't need more thinking. You need a walk, a scream, a stretch, a nap, a dance. You don't manifest from the mind. You manifest through the body. Ninth principle, you forget the world is a mirror. You act, you speak, you think. You move through your day, and you believe it's all just you. But you forget the most important thing. Life reflects you. Every moment, every person, every reaction. Not because the world is judging, not because someone's watching, but because that's how energy works. You're not living in reality. You're living with a feedback system. The field doesn't punish. It doesn't test. It doesn't decide if you're good enough. It simply reflects your frequency, your tone, your internal atmosphere. You walk into a room and people react coldly. Maybe it's not because they're rude. Maybe it's because you're radiating defensiveness without knowing it. You post something and no one engages. Maybe it's not the algorithm. Maybe it's the energy behind your words. Hesitation, fear, need. You're met with closed doors. Maybe it's not the world saying no. Maybe it's the universe saying, this version of you isn't ready yet. Now take a breath. This isn't about blame, it's about power. Because once you understand the mirror, you stop trying to fix the reflection and you start tuning the source. Think of it like this. You're standing in front of a mirror with a frown. You keep telling the reflection to smile. You get angry, desperate, but the mirror won't change until you do. That's life. If you want more warmth, radiate it. If you want support, embody openness. If you want to be seen, stop hiding. The mirror doesn't lie, but it doesn't judge either. It simply shows. Try this. Victoria Zazovskaya, 11th of May, 2025, 15:14. Every time something triggers you, instead of saying, why is this happening to me? Ask, what is this showing me about my current state? You'll be shocked. The world isn't attacking you. It's giving you a map dash, straight to your vibration. Now imagine, you shift your internal tone, you release resentment, you return to self-respect, you soften your gaze, and the next day, someone smiles at you unexpectedly. You receive a message you've been waiting for. You get offered something you didn't even ask. That's not magic. That's resonance. The mirror shifted. Because you did. This principle is one to replay often, especially when you feel like nothing's working. Because maybe everything is working. It's just waiting for you to align with what you truly want to reflect. 10th principle, you don't need a new path. You need a shift in state. You keep searching. A new method, a new teacher, a new country, diet, book, strategy. You tell yourself, maybe this one will work. Maybe that one will unlock it. And so you jump from one idea to another, from one tool to the next. But the truth is, it's not the path that changes you. It's who you are when you walk it. You can take the most perfect system and still sabotage it. You can meet the right person and push them away. You can move to paradise and carry your storms with you. Why? Because state creates experience. Not the external, not the instructions, not the location. You don't need another door. You need to enter the same room with new energy. That's when reality bends. Ever notice, when you're in a high state, even simple things feel magical. A random walk becomes a discovery. A simple message feels like a sign. Time slows down. Synchronicities appear. But when you're low, nothing helps. Even gifts feel heavy. Even love feels distant. That's not the world changing. That's you radiating a different frequency. You don't attract what you want. You attract what matches your inner weather. Here's a metaphor. Two people stand on the same beach. One is anxious, distracted, rushing. The other, calm, open, present. Same sand, same waves. Completely different experience. Because the state is the lens, the amplifier, the interpreter. And here's the secret. You can choose it. No, not by faking happiness, not by forcing smiles, but by pausing, breathing, and asking, what if I walk the same path with more presence? What if I stopped chasing a way out and dropped into the now? The truth is, you've already been shown enough. You already know what matters. You just haven't anchored into the state that allows it to unfold. Try this. Tomorrow, instead of finding new solutions, return to something you already know. A practice, a principle, a message you once loved. And this time, Do it with a new level of embodiment, with a new softness, a deeper breath. You'll see it lands differently because you're different. Listen to this principle when your mind starts spiraling. I need something else. I need more. Because maybe you don't need more information. You need integration. You don't need a new answer. You need a shift in how you show up, not a new path, a new presence. 11th principle. You're afraid of silence. You fill every moment, podcasts, messages, tasks, calls, noise, scroll, talk, because silence feels like a void, like nothing, like danger. And yet silence is the only place where you can finally hear yourself. Most people don't resist stillness because it's boring. They resist it because of what might rise inside. Old thoughts, old wounds, old truths. But here's what they don't realize. What rises in silence was already there. You're not creating pain. You're finally hearing it. And once you hear it, you can release it. You say, I want clarity. I want intuition. I want to feel myself again. But where do those answers come from? Not from noise, not from activity. They come from the still space beneath the surface. Imagine this. You drop a stone into a muddy pond. Victoria Zazovskaya, 11th of May, 2025, 15:14. If the water is agitated, you see nothing. But if it's still, you see the ripple. The truth. Silence is your clear water. And most people are terrified of what it might reveal. So they run back into distraction. But you're different. Because you're here, reading this. And that means something in you is ready. Ready to face the quiet. Ready to hear your own sound again. Try this. Close your eyes for 60 seconds. No goals, no thoughts, no control. Just be. Notice what comes up. Notice how fast the mind tries to fill the space. And breathe through it. You're not drowning. You're detoxing. This world has trained you to stay busy, to equate stillness with laziness, to fear your own company. But in silence, you don't disappear. You reappear. You're not alone in the quiet. You're with yourself, with your field, with source. Here's a shift to try. Instead of saying, I can't meditate, say, I'm remembering how to be with myself. Instead of saying, I'm overthinking, say, my system is surfacing what needs space. You don't need to run from silence. You need to relax into it. And in that stillness, a new rhythm will arise. A knowing, a peace, a signal. And life will begin to respond to that new tone within you. Listen to this principle whenever your life gets too loud. It will remind you the answers you're chasing out there are already waiting. In the quiet, 12th principle. You try to control. Instead of tuning in, you plan, you schedule, you analyze, you try to predict, fix, calculate, protect. You say, I just want to be sure. I need to understand what's happening. If I don't take control, everything will fall apart. And in that moment, you shift from being the creator of your reality to being its manager. You start micromanaging what should be flowing. You cling to outcomes instead of opening to alignment. And the worst part, it doesn't even work. Because control is fear dressed up as logic. You want to feel safe, but you forget that safety is a state, not a plan. You want certainty, but you forget that certainty doesn't come from the outside. Imagine this. You're sailing a boat. Instead of feeling the wind and adjusting your sails, you try to control the sea. You yell at the waves. You tighten the ropes. You fight the current. And in the process, you exhaust yourself. But when you tune in, you feel the direction. You trust the flow. You cooperate with life. That's alignment. And alignment beats control every time. Here's the truth. You're not here to control life. You're here to dance with it. Control contracts. Alignment expands. Control limits possibilities to what your mind can predict. Alignment opens you to what your soul can receive. Try this. Next time you feel overwhelmed, pause. Place your hand on your chest and ask, what am I trying to force right now? Then breathe. Then ask again, what would alignment look like instead? Sometimes alignment looks like letting go. Sometimes it looks like rest. Sometimes it's a yes. Sometimes it's a powerful no. But you'll never hear it. If you're too busy playing God with the details, the mind likes boxes. But life is not a box. It's a rhythm, a pulse, a symphony. Control disconnects you from the music. Tuning in brings you back into harmony. Here's a mantra. I choose to feel, not to force, to adjust, not to grip, to align, not to manage. Say it when your chest tightens. Say it when the to-do list screams. Say it when things don't go to plan. Because maybe the plan wasn't the point. Maybe the frequency was. And when you're in the right frequency, even so-called detours lead you exactly where you need to go. You don't manifest by controlling. You manifest by becoming. Listen to this principle when your mind wants to take over. It will remind you, you're not here to command the universe. You're here to tune into it. 13th principle. You forgot. You're already whole. You think something's missing. You chase healing. You chase growth. You chase better. But every time you say, I need to fix this about me, you reinforce the idea that something in you is broken, and you forget. Healing doesn't begin with effort. It begins with remembering that beneath the trauma, the stories, the noise, you are already complete, already enough, already whole. You are not a project. You are not a problem. You are a presence, a frequency, and that frequency doesn't need to become anything. It just needs to be uncovered. You don't grow by adding more. You grow by peeling away the false, by returning to your true tone. Want a metaphor? You're like a golden statue, covered in clay. Over the years, more and more layers were added. Expectations, fears, shame, survival mechanisms. And now you look in the mirror and think, this is me. But it's not. It's just the covering. And your journey is not to build something new. It's to gently remove the layers. Until the gold shines through again, you don't need to chase wholeness. You need to remember it. Try this. Each day, pause for 30 seconds. Place your hands on your chest and say, I am already whole. Not when I become someone else, but now, exactly as I am. And breathe. Let your nervous system hear that. Let your cells remember. Let your energy soften. You're not healing to become worthy. You're healing because you already are. You're not manifesting to prove something. You're manifesting because life wants to flow through the real you, the one that already exists beneath the masks. Listen to this principle when you forget who you are, when you fall into comparison, when you're tempted to improve yourself into exhaustion, because the most magnetic version of you is not the one who does more. It's the one who remembers you've just walked through 13 energetic principles. But more than that, you've walked through yourself. Not the outer version, but the one that breathes behind your eyes, the one that's been waiting for permission to live louder, deeper, truer. These aren't just ideas, they are reminders, and they will only work if you return to them again and again, and especially when life gets loud, when fear creeps back in, when you forget, replay the parts that shook something inside. Let your energy relearn its true sound. And now we'll do one small thing, like this video, and leave a comment to set the intention that you're stepping into this new frequency. Let this be your signal, your anchor, your moment of choosing. You don't have to rush, you just have to resonate. And everything else will follow.